What's up guys, and welcome to another review. Now today's review is very interesting. I always say that, but this is extra sauce. I'm going to be talking about number 12. That is the 12th expose by the investigative journalist, Ghana's own James Bond, Anas Aremayaw Anas.
Anas Aremayaw Anas, one of the most high-profile and controversial African journalists. An undercover specialist, he never shows his face. For 2 years, he's been unlocking the secrets of African football. Almost 100 match officials captured on camera, taking money when they shouldn't. One of them, a referee, meant to be running the line at the World Cup in Russia. Another, a FIFA executive, who's one of the most powerful figures in African football.
We got the opportunity to watch number 12. It was eye-opening. I am very glad that this video was released so close to the World Cup and in a period when Ghana was unable to qualify for the World Cup. So it brings a lot of thoughts onto why we didn't qualify this time and the merits of our qualifications and the merits of what the Black Stars have done so far. Now, I'm not going at the Black Stars, that is the players, but I'm basically going at the management, and that involves Ghana Football Association. If you did watch the video, if you haven't seen it, I'll put a link to the video in my description. It was in partnership with BBC, so it's on BBC Africa's YouTube channel. And I will, like I said, I'll put the link in my description. But the thing is that with this particular expose, there's some degree of personal sentiment from Anas involved in this, because in the beginning, he lets you understand why he did this. This was because he lost someone in the May 9th disaster, and then after going through his investigations, finding out what he found out and even the links to the May 9th event.
I'm normally not a football person. I don't like football, but one time I have this friend who is a Stein supporter of House of Folk, and he called me that there has been some chaotic scenes within the stadium.
It was the 2001 match at Accra Sports Stadium between Hearts and Kotoko. Violence erupted after the game, and panicked supporters were crushed to death after police fired tear gas and rubber bullets into the crowd. 127 people died. Anas says he was sent to a hospital morgue to find the body of a friend, and what he saw there would mark him for life.
It's a lot to take in. I could have lost some people. I remember my uncles were at that game, but they left early because one of them was hungry or something like that. So I didn't lose anybody to that game, but people did lose people to that game. Now, this video exposed quite a lot of influential people in football in Africa. The second most influential authority in football, Kwesi Nyantechi, that's Ghana's Football Association president, was exposed. And yeah, a lot has happened since then. GFA has been dissolved, and yeah, like many people are asking for the parties involved to face some form of judicial process. I'm not here to talk about that, really. Well, what I'm going to talk about with this one is the fact that certain groups of people do not like Anas's approach or the way he does things. They say that his methods are not the best. And in a country which says that the giver and receiver of bribes are both punishable by law, they do have kind of a stance. Now, many of these people are saying that Anas employs entrapment and or enticement tactics to get what he wants.
You're having an ordinary conversation with a friend or some acquaintance. What actually happens is that you are being entrapped.
I'm just going to talk about that briefly. Entrapment, per my understanding of the word entrapment, because of its birth from the word trap, would suggest that these people have been put in a situation where they need some external force to be able to escape from. There's no other alternative. There's nothing they can do. They're in a situation where they are trapped. They can't escape unless someone saves them. I would definitely say that these people were not trapped because they had options. They had very, very viable and open options. They could have done anything. They could have chosen anything. They could have chosen to take the money. Many did, and they could have chosen to not take the money. Some did that. So it wasn't entrapment. I would say a situation of entrapment is like if person in high place tells another person in a lower standing whose only source of livelihood is said job, and says that until you have sexual relations with me, you won't stay on the job, or if you do not have sexual relations with me, you will lose your job. Now, that is the person's only way of getting a livelihood. There are no other options out there for the person. The person has people that depend on them and him or her and all of that. Now, that is closer to entrapment than what happened in this video. It's certainly not entrapment if one party went as far as going around to get more of his colleagues to come through to take bribes in order to acquire a commission of up to $2,500. That is not entrapment. These people were not trapped. There were options. Take the bribe, do not take the bribe, or even going as far as reporting it. They had options. So no, it's not entrapment. Now the next thing is enticement. Enticement is basically using something to attract or lure a person into doing something for you or otherwise.
It is wrong to induce somebody by an enticement of some lucrative thing, be it money or whatever, and then turn around to say the person is corrupt. And indeed, for our law, the giver is as guilty as the receiver.
Now, in the video, Anas defends himself on that, saying specifically that
ethics are clear how a referee is supposed to behave. So if you are seen tilting the scale of justice in favor of one team, it's wholly unacceptable, let alone stretching your arm to collect money.
FIFA rules are very clear. No accepting gifts or any behavior that will give rise to suspicion. The Ghanaian FA rules are just as clear. No cash under any circumstances.
the mere fact that they took whatever it was suggests they were corrupt. But sometimes you need to get your hands dirty. Unfortunately, this country has gotten to a place where you actually need to get your hands dirty to be able to uncover people. Many of us have been involved in some form of corruption one way or another, either actively or passively, or knowingly or unknowingly. We have been involved in corruption. So it's gotten to a situation where you need to get dirty to be able to get the bigger dirt. And Anas is coming at this from the standpoint that this was done for the greater good. He didn't say that, but I get the vibe that that's where he's coming from. However, as a country, there are some questions we need to ask ourselves. I'll get to the questions towards the end of my video, but what I'm going to say now is, now there are certain persons, even in the video, who are saying that Anas's actions are jeopardizing the lives of other people.
He has set out to damage people's interests, damage people's image, not in accordance with the law.
So it affecting one person's life and that one person's actions trickling down and affecting so many people, which stands for the greater good. You are one person. I'm sorry, you have to go on the chopping block to save the many other people. Their decisions affect people. Their decisions will ruin other people's lives. So what are you saying? Are you saying that those whose lives were ruined are not as important as the person whose life has been ruined now because we find out that the person is in a place or position of power so abused his power? No, that shouldn't be a case. We need to understand that as a country, if we are going with the whole bandwagon that corruption is bad, we should stick to it. Corruption is bad. Corruption is crippling us. Now, the interesting thing about the video is that one of the referees, he said something quite smart in taking the bribe. He said that yes, he will try to help them out. I'm paraphrasing. He suggested that he would be willing to help them, but they would have to play good. So he can't give them a penalty if the game is played in their half of the field, stuff like that. That was a very interesting thing. Then we jump to the questions I have, and I hope you guys will jump in the comment section and let me know what you think or answers to the question. First off, with the dissolution of GFA, does that mean that there can be no official football games in the country anymore? Does that mean that our Premier League will cease to exist? Does that also mean that Xylophone's pitch to sponsor the entire Premier League has gone in flames? I don't know. Now, the very important question that many of us need to ponder about is that, yes, Anas did what he had to do. Yes, he has some form of immunity, so I've heard. Yes, some of his tactics could be categorized as enticements per the definition of the word. However, it was done for the greater good, yes. But to what extent are certain actions still considered as necessary evils? To what extent are certain actions going to be supported in order to root out evil despite their possibly shady characteristics? I leave it to you guys to talk about. I feel like many of you would have an opinion about it. So I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.